Okay, opening the South Maui Community Plan Advisory Committee meeting at 5:33 p.m. Could we start with a roll call?
Chair Rob Weltman, Tova Callender, Everett Dowling, Lihuanani Huddleston Haboka, Randolph Leach, here. Mike Moran, Jennifer Sullivan, and Brian Ward. Let the record show that Vice Chair Daniel Kanahele has been excused. Wayne Nishiki has recently resigned from CPAC. We also have 3 members that are still being vetted through the Ethics Board with the review of their financial disclosures not having been done quite yet. So again, we have Vernon, Cody, and Kyoki that are currently not participating this evening.
Vernon's actually excused. I'm sorry, Kyoki's actually excused because he had business this evening. Vilina mai no lala o ke komike o lalawa o kaiula no kapapa o lala no Maui hema. A vilina no hoi ka po o ke ena ho lala o ke kalana o Maui. A me ka lehu o Maui ne. E ho pa kako e ke yahi i ke kahimau ano o hana ana ina apana o Wailea. A holumui ke kuka ana ina apana o makena a hikinao. So we have a few housekeeping things. First one is I'd like to welcome a new member of the planning department. Want to say a few words?
Hi, my name is Janessa Cordero. I just joined the Long Range Division at the Department of Planning about 2 weeks ago. So very new to planning. I studied geography and GIS, and I just moved back home to Maui last May. I was in Washington for the past 10 years. So happy to be back home and yeah, just learn a lot and experience all of this newness. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome. So we are going to be working today to finish up a few land use designations for sub-area 4, Wailea, but not Wailea 670. That'll be up next week. And then after that, we'll work on Makena and Ahihi Kina'u. And those are the maps, land use designations. If we have time, we'll also look at the textual descriptions of those same areas in the draft plan. There will be public testimony for each item when we get to it. And if you're testifying remotely, please do not turn off your speaker. Watch the meeting coordinator to signal when you're at 2.5 minutes and at the full 3 minutes of testimony time, unless you're keeping track of the time yourself. Testimony will be limited to 3 minutes with 1 minute to respond to follow-up questions. And with that, opening up to a public testimony on Wailea land use other than Wailea 670. Do we have any testifiers online on Wailea? Okay, last call testifying on Wailea. Okay, testimony closed for Wailea. Okay, so for Wailea, we only had, I think, 2 or 3 things left over from last time. Let's see. Let's see, where we have that? Okay, hang on. Okay, so let's see, the ones we had left. Well, we have Wailea 670, but we're going to be talking about that next time. Next one is number 2 on the map, which is Hotel Wailea, which was in the 98 plan was multifamily, and it's now proposed as resort hotel.
I move to put it as resort hotel.
Is there a second? Second by Jennifer. Any discussion? Oh, okay. Any objections? Okay. Hotel Wailea from multifamily to resort hotel. Next one is Polar Beach condo. We postponed this last time. Polar Beach condos from multifamily to resort hotel. And I sent out a little explanation of why some places are going to resort and some places are not. Mike?
Chair, I would like to make a motion that we revisit number 8, and if I get a second to revisit it, I can explain why.
Could we finish number 3 first before we go to number 8?
You want to go to number 9, skip number 8?
I'd prefer to finish number 3 first before we go to number 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about Polar Beach condos. So if we could just finish that up before we go to something else.
Yes, I have that as number 9, but that's fine.
Okay.
I move to put it as resort hotel.
Is there a second? Comment from
There was actually just one testifier who was he wasn't able to get through at the time he was trying to testify. He was on. He just wasn't opening for some reason. It's Buck Joyner, if you would like to hear him now.
Okay. Okay, postponing deferring the discussion. Actually, we already had a motion here. Can we get a second to finish this one off? Motion second from Jennifer. Any discussion on Polar Beach condos? Any objections? Okay, so Polar Beach condos, resort hotel. Okay, can we hear the testifier?
His name is Buck. Buck, can you unmute? Getting a message that there's no volume. I'm also not getting anything from Jamie either.
Buck, you are unmuted on our side.
if you're unable to resolve the issue with sound for Buck, I could just read his testimony. You can ask him if that's okay. Say it again.
Buck has left the meeting.
Okay. Okay, so Mike, you're making a motion to reopen this Mauka Wailea Beach Park?
Yes, please.
And is there a second? Second by Everett. I think that actually we need to have a majority to be able to reopen it. Is there any objections to reopening number 8, Mauka Wailea Beach Park? Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, the reason I'm asking to reopen it was toward the end of the meeting a few weeks ago when we were doing this. And number 6 was the water tank. And Everett made a bit of a humorous comment on it. So some folks, including me, were a little bit distracted. And then all at once we skipped number 7. And I was looking to get the details on 7. Instead, there was a motion on 8, and it was closing out the evening, and it was like quick. Any objections? None, being it passed. And I wasn't even aware what it was about, and I had 2 other committee members said the same thing. I didn't even know what that was all about. I heard somebody in the audience say the same thing. What happened? Where was 7? What happened there? So I thought there was mass confusion, and not that I object to what the decision was, but I do object to the process that we just rushed through something that people weren't aware of. So I think it's prudent to revisit it and maybe come up with the same conclusion. But that's my justification for asking to reopen it.
Okay, is there a motion? Is anyone making a motion? Yes. What is the motion? To adopt it again?
I'll make a motion to adopt it from open space to park.
Second by Everett. Any discussion? Any objections? Okay, adopt it again.
Mahalo.
So that completes the things that were. So the only things I listed on my map here are the ones that changed from the '98 plan to our current plan. We do have some testimony from Buck Joyner and also from Maui tomorrow about segments that they would like to see as open space. And of course, they can't. Testifier can't make a motion, but if anyone sitting here wants to do that, then they can do that. So Buck Joyner and Laura Greenwood proposed making SFS and MF6 open space, while Maui tomorrow proposes making SFS a park. They are both currently, I think, residential in the proposal, and also in the '98 plan. So I don't know if can you show those two, the two parcels, the SFS and MF8? SFS is the one that's just south of the dog park on Keonakai. And MF8 is just below Maui Meadows, parallel to Maui Meadows. Does anyone want to make a motion on that? Otherwise, we'll just move on. Okay. Anything else anyone would like to change in these land use designations for Wailea, which otherwise are the same as in the 98 plan? Brian?
Chair, I can't find it right now. I'm just flipping through all the testimony, but I believe there was a testimony from one of the hotels that they wanted us to review the garage zoning.
Was that testimony for today?
It was testimony we received. I'm trying to go back to where it was, but I just recall that one of the hotels said they had a garage space that it was designated. They wanted it designated as a resort. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, because it's in Wailea.
Chair, point of information, please. What happened to Buck Joyner's testimony?
He dropped off.
He dropped off. Thank you.
There's also testimony from Maui Tomorrow proposing 3 other lead core properties as open space: MF12, MF13, and SF7A. So I'm just mentioning this. Did you find the where they this is shops at Wailea? It wasn't the shop. Oh. I see. We did decide on that, right? Shops at Wailea. We did decide on that, right? Shops at Wailea. We could come back to that next week since we're going to be reviewing the maps anyway. So
I move to make the hotel site, hotel resort, both parcels, consistent with the existing use.
Second by Brian. Discussion? Any objections? Okay, making that change. Any other changes to Wiley? I mean, we will have another shot at it next week, but if we can do it now, it'd be better. Anything else in Wiley, or can we accept the rest as proposed? And if so, I'd like a motion, just to accept the rest as proposed.
I move that we accept the rest as proposed.
Is there a second? Second by Brian. Discussion? Any objections? Okay, adopted the rest as proposed. So we're done with Wiley except for Wiley 670, which we'll be talking about next week. Okay, so now I'd like to open for testimony on Makena Ahihikina'o.
While the meeting is still open, I am locked out of the Blue Jeans meeting, so I can't bring it up on the screen. So I have to shut down my screen temporarily. Do we have any testifiers here on Makena Ahihikina'o? is there anyone to testify for item C, McKenna?
Can you folks hear me? Hello? They said they're still trying to work out volume issues. Sorry about that. It's all right.
Do you have any other? Try again, Albert. No, we cannot hear you. Well, I can, but the rest of the room can't. Hang on one more second. We're going to try a different tactic. It's my computer to a Kaku. It's not an issue with the actual meeting. Try again. Try again. Try again.
Derek, can you hear me? 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 Derek, can you hear me?
And he should talk.
Okay, again, Albert, can you try to talk?
Everett. I'm trying. I was going to call in. I'm trying to call in on the call-in number.
We can hear you, Albert. We can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Little thumbs up. Can you hear me, Rob?
We can hear you, Albert. Can you hear us?
I think he.
Hello?
Okay. I've got.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, I'll start my testimony. Aloha, CPAC members. Albert Perez, Maui Tomorrow, testifying. Just kind of going over the things that are in our written testimony, see if you have any questions. Maui Tomorrow and ATC McKenna Golf and Beach Club, we reached a settlement in 2017. I sent that to you folks by email. Not sure if you received everything. Breaking settlement, I claimed there would be no impact from that development. We are asking that the CPAC take official notice of the settlement and incorporate it by reference into the South Maui Community Plan. This settlement provides for 60 units of affordable housing in perpetuity, 100% AMI or lower. The overall number of units on the resort is limited to 1,100 plus affordable housing. That's a big reduction. Permaculture design up Mauka to capture and infiltrate stormwater runoff. There are several buildings that have been removed as a result of archaeology that the developer agreed to hire an archaeologist of our choosing, redo the archaeological work, and many more sites have already been found. The resort agreed to dedicate additional shoreline lands south of McKenna Landing for open space and dedicate those to the Hawaii Land Trust. There are over 100 acres of native plant preserves, and we fought back against what was proposed to be a loss of beach parking. There will be instead an addition of up to 65 additional public parking stalls, provision of free shuttle service to McKenna Landing, Maluaka, and McKenna State Park. I'll move on. So the draft map for this sub-area shows several undeveloped parcels across from McKenna State Park that are outside the urban growth boundary but designated residential. This is not appropriate. It would violate the purpose of the urban growth boundary to limit sprawl. These areas also contain many cultural sites. It shouldn't be designated for any kind of urban development. And there's a lot more detail in our testimony. In particular, there is the Ferreira Stables, as well as a cultural preserve. I believe that's owned by Hui Alaloa o McKenna, and those areas should be agriculture and open space, respectively. The stables should be ag, and the cultural preserve should be open space. Residential is not appropriate because it would allow multifamily there, again, outside the urban growth area. And so the testimony shows some other parcels where the same thing applies. And I thank you for your kind attention. And I'm open to questions.
Thank you. Questions for for the testifier? Testifier. Everett.
Albert, do you know who owns the property near the stable?
No, I could not hear him. But are you talking about the property that is? I'm not sure what's meant by near the stables. Is it Mackay of the stables?
Yes.
So that, I believe, is the cultural preserve. So the stables is an L-shaped parcel, and that should be ag. The other one is a rectangular parcel that's Mackay, mostly Mackay of that, and I believe that's where the cultural center is. Lucienne Dene is going to testify next, and she can tell you for sure.
Question from Hua.
What is the current designation for the first?
Sorry, can you hear me? Regardless, they're both outside the urban growth boundary, I think. Okay, thank you, Karen.
So I just wanted to know what was the current designation for Furrow Stables? The current designation.
Current community plan designation, I think that's probably a better question for the planning department.
My other question would be, and I might know this answer, but who are the owners of the Furrow Stables?
I think it's the Herrera stables.
Okay, I just have to ask. And the reason I'm asking is, do they want it to be designated agriculture?
Again, Lucienne knows the answers to these questions better than I do. I apologize.
Okay, I have questions too, but I don't know if it's going to be possible to ask them though. I just wanted to know if the the parcels outside of the urban growth boundary, if those are 21005081 and 21005118. In other words, does he have the TMKs for them? And then the cultural preserve, where is that? Which TMKs or which area? And then in their testimony, he said the McKenna land, just Mauka, the park area, should be open space instead of ag. So just wanted to check if that's 21005108 and 21005079 and 21005129, and if not, which ones?
I believe for the SFS parcel that sorry, are you talking about Wailea right now? Okay, no, I didn't put the TMKs in there, but I could get them to you in the chat. Okay. Yeah, it should be clear from my written testimony. I zoomed in on the South Maui Community Plan viewer. Yes?
Any other questions for the testifier? Thank you. Next testifier.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Yes, you can hear me. Okay, good. Well, I'm doing better than Albert. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about those parcels that are just under discussion, the two parcels. They are part of a settlement agreement that was entered into in 1987. And so they were awarded as part of the settlement agreement to address concerns about cultural sites and cultural use of the land. And they were never intended for development, although because McKenna Resort got its entitlements in the 1970s, lots of land in McKenna Resort got, single family status or R3 status, but the use is not that. So if this is an update, it really should reflect the actual use. I think the agreement does not provide, the settlement agreement these folks signed does not provide for any development other than like a small hale. There is a small hale for a cultural center and, those kinds of buildings that would be associated with the stables. But I wanted to point that out in the map. That really jumped out at me. And also the fact that the Palauea Preserve, the cultural preserve there, the 22-acre cultural preserve, in this special purpose, I just think that that's a crazy category to put it into. We have an open space category, and the open space category provides for protection of cultural sites. And that's the only use by law on that property. So I don't see why it wouldn't be shown as open space. If that's the definition of open space as I understand it in this updated plan. Maybe I don't understand it properly, but a special purpose is a very, very broad district, and it just seems crazy to apply it to a place that it's even set in the last community plan as being a cultural preserve. I understand that the same is being proposed for Wailea 670, and I can speak to that at the next meeting, but it doesn't really reflect what's actually going on. And then these other hotel category for the two parcels in Malawaka, they're not being developed as hotels. So it seems kind of crazy to give them the continuation of the hotel designation in the community plan. I know years ago, during the last community plan, people looked at McKenna State Park, which has residential zoning, and they said, well, this should be park and open space. And they made it park and open space, and it should be park and open space. And so places that are being used for, multifamily dwellings and single-family dwellings, like the two Malawaka parcels, should be residential, because that's what they're being used for. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Any questions for the testifier? Lehua?
Aloha, Lucian. My question previously was, who are the current owners of the Ferreira stables?
The Ferreira family, I do not believe, have sold that parcel. George Ferreira Jr., I believe, did pass away, but he had nephews that were involved with the land, and that's my understanding. The square-shaped parcel, it's what's the name? It's in the name of a nonprofit. I think it's Hui Honua Ula Keaho, I believe, is the name of the nonprofit. It's a nonprofit that was formed as a result of the settlement agreement between McKenna Resort, Cebu ownership, and a group of people, including Dana and Isaac Hall and Leslie Kulaloyo, who challenged their special management area permit and various other permits and reached a kind of a universal settlement in 1987. And this new nonprofit was formed, and it has a couple of directors from McKenna Resort on the board, and it has a couple of directors from Hui Alanua o McKenna, and it formed this new nonprofit. And I believe if you looked at the records, it should still be in their name. They did construct a small little cultural hale pavilion, and I know that there are, there's some plantings and some other cultural activities that have gone on the land.
Go ahead, Lou.
Okay, thank you. And also, what is
There's a very important archaeological site in that area as well.
what is the current designation for Ferreira Stables? Because I see that you folks want to recommend it be designated as agriculture, but what is the current designation?
Well, I looked at the old community plan. It's not clear. It doesn't have a specific label on it. It is next to some property that says single family, and it's below some property that says park. So it's ag designation on the state basis. It might be single family in the old community plan. It's kind of hard to tell. It doesn't have its own label. And it's R3 zoning. But once again, so is Big Beach R3 zoning. But that isn't what it's being used for, so we wouldn't want to reflect that on our maps.
So my question with that answer would be, is the family in agreement with the proposed change of designation?
That's the trouble with these old zoning decisions that don't really reflect the nature of the land. I don't know if they even know this process is going on. I don't think anyone has weighed in on it. It's just that would reflect the use, the actual use. I'm not sure. I was only privy to the public version of the settlement agreement, which said that those parcels would be set aside and given to the two entities who were part of the lawsuit against McKenna Resort. I don't know if they then had a private agreement about what could take place on this land. But they fought for more preservation, so it seems unlikely that they would then have an agreement that they could develop it.
Okay, so my last probably comment or question on this
So
would be...
it would probably be good to table it and reach out to Honua Ula o Keaho and see what their intention is. But it's Isaac and Dana Hall who have advocated for preservation of open space for many, many years in many places on Maui, so it would be good to know.
So my question or comment would then be, I'd feel much better if the Ferrer family was completely involved in this, and I wouldn't be able to support it being recommended for a change in designation without their knowledge and their input, which you just recommended through the nonprofit. But again, I think it's important that the Ferrer family is definitely part of this decision. So thank you for clarifying, and I hope somebody will reach out to them, and if not, one of the daughters lives up my street, so I can go talk to her tomorrow.
I think I heard part of it that Lehua was saying that she could reach out to one of the family members, and that that seems the proper process to follow. And I agree completely, but, I just wanted to bring it up that just, looking blankly at a map that says, oh, this is single family, and not looking at, any other surrounding circumstances like settlement agreements, like Albert brought up, is not really a good long-range policy here. So definitely we should consult with the parties involved.
Any other clarifying questions? Thank you. Next testifier. No other testifiers. Okay. Last call for testifiers on McKenna in the
I
audience. Here.
believe we haven't had any other testifiers online for this item.
Last call for any additional testimony on McKenna from the audience here in the room. Thank you. Okay. Closing testimony, public testimony on the McKenna section. I'd like to go systematically again from top to bottom. So there are a lot of these things, but not all of them are really, I think, that complicated. The first one, and some of these I just put the addresses because I don't actually know what their uses are. So number one, there is an address on McKenna Nui, which is proposed to change from project district to residential.
Can we pull these up on the screen? Thanks.
So it's the top of the yellow on the shoreline.
And the yellow properties are currently zoned hotel?
It's a mix. So the top one is currently zoned, not zoned, but CP, the community plan designation is project district. And the one below that is currently park. And then the other ones below that are already residential or single family. So this is just making them all along the coastline there residential.
I think we used to own those properties, and several of them are hotel zoned, and they're used as short-term rentals. So I don't think we can do that.
You can choose to do that. Those are single-family residential development, even though the zoning is hotel.
Seems to me like a taking.
This is the recommendation from the planning department after a lot of internal discussion.
I'll be voting against that.
Just for clarification before we make the motion, is this true for all the properties in that area or just that one?
It's true for the first 6, starting at the top of the page, working down. I think when it gets to about, I think it ends where, see that pathway that's coming from the green space, it's kind of a gray line down to Old McKenna Road. I think the hotel zoning stops in that area. But it's basically from that, I'll point it out. And there are also, I think there are, each of those lots, well, there's 2 lots that's owned by one family, and the rest of them are unrelated parties. So it's not as if it's one landowner. They're
So, are you making a different motion then?
I make a motion that we leave it as is.
It is, but it's currently,
We don't change the designation from what it currently is.
it's currently a mix of project district, park. I don't think those are appropriate for, if it's
Which one is park? I think park is-
4478 to 4538, McKenna, Illinois.
Those are the bottom ones down near the bottom of the screen. Because I think those 2 lots were acquired by the County of Maui. Those are used for park.
This is the current Kihei McKenna Community Plan. So you have the hotel right there, and then you have the park. It was a lot of the space right here. And then there's also the zoning labels. The labels are zoning and the color is community plan.
I can't read the label. What's
I can only read it when it's on my smaller screen. There was only a small amount that was zoned hotel. A lot of it was interim. And then for the community plan designation, take off the zoning so it's not confusing.
Yeah, the whole area down to the park is zoned hotel right now.
This is the Kihei McKenna Community Plan. So there's a lot of area that was designated as park. And then this whole area up here was project district. And single family.
What is the proposed designation for the larger parcel? The green and the gray?
The special purpose district is where the cultural preserve is, because it is a little bit, it has some other unique features other than just purely open space. That's why that was chosen as a special purpose district, because it has zoning that's so unique it doesn't fit anywhere else. Open space could also be a good choice. And then these are agriculture parcels, and that is just based on the agreement. And then the residential was because they are developed as single family homes and not in fact hotels.
I move that we go special purpose for the gray. We donated that property to OHA, and they've entered into an agreement with University of Hawaii to use that as a teaching laboratory for archaeological students. So I think that would be appropriate.
I think we still need to do something with this one and two.
2 being the park area.
Yes.
I move that the park area be designated park.
I'm sorry. So one is street numbers 4420 to 4472, currently project district, proposed by the planning department to be residential. And then below that is 4478 to 4538 Makana, Illinois, currently designated park, proposed as residential. But I think what you're saying is that they're all currently used, they're zoned hotel and used for that purpose.
Yes. Well, they're used for short term. They're single family homes. The families use them several months a year, and when they're not here, they rent them out. So I don't think, I think we should leave those as is. Or if we can't, if the planning department doesn't like project district, then I think we should, I mean, if our choice is project district or hotel to enable the existing use. That's a question.
They would be grandfathered in under their existing use right now anyway.
And if they want it, if the house burned down, they could replace it under under grandfathering. I know that's really a question for Corp Council, but
It really is.
yeah, so. I mean, it's
I
a
do know
big
there was a lot of
issue.
back
These
and
people have
forth
spent
about it.
tens of millions of dollars on the house, and you know, if there's a tsunami or if there's a fire, I want to make sure that they can replace their home and use it as they have been using it for decades.
We still need a motion and a second. Lua?
Sorry, can you repeat the motion? We're all like I feel questions and answers and
Okay, so the planning department is trying to get away from project districts, correct? And what are our options if it's not project district to enable these families to continue to use the property as they have been using it for decades? Which is they live here several months a year, and when they're not here, they rent it. So what are our choices?
Your choices are to go with what you feel is right for your community.
Okay, I'm asking you, Karen, as a planner, what right now they stay in the house for several months a year. When they're not here, they occasionally rent it. What kind of designation do we need to put on it to enable them to continue to use the properties as they have been using it?
If that is the vision you have for your community, resort hotel would be appropriate.
All right, I move that we zone them or designate them resort hotel then.
Second by Jennifer. Okay, discussion. Lua?
But those that are grandfathered in, I mean, some would stay with their current zoning. But I just want to back up. Could you please explain again what is a project district, just so I can better understand? Because I see it. There's 12 things here, and there's a lot of project district. Could you please tell me what project district is?
Project district was a designation from the 1990s plans that was used as kind of like you can develop this area, here's the parameters of what you can develop in this area. The planning department is going away from project districts so that there's a more guidance on what is planned for that area.
So project district is a little bit broader, and then, so for example, for the one 44204472, from project district to residential. But then you just gave an alternative that could be a possible, I guess I don't need to call it rezoning. So is that what we're being asked to vote on? To change to what Everett had recommended?
That's the motion, yes.
Okay, so that's just on number 1 that we're discussing at this time. So is that also included if we're still on the one about the Ferrera property and then the recommendation from Maui Tomorrow Foundation? Is that what we're going to be voting on, all of that? Is that all inclusive, like one vote, or? So that's why I'm confused. So some say yes, some says no. So maybe you can help me clarify.
No, we're just going to do these one at a time, so starting with number 1. So, and then we'll get to the others later.
So currently the motion is that the number 1
Yes,
on Rob's list is going to be Resort Hotel.
Okay, so I do see that, but that's why I'm asking. So we had the discussion, or from the testifier, about the I'm going to call it the Ferrera property. So when do we vote on that?
I suggest we go through the things that are already on the list and then do the rest, because there's a whole bunch of other things too.
So that's why I'm asking. So I just wanted, I don't want us to forget about that, the first one, because I feel it's important that we table that one, but I'd like to proceed with the others. But I just have to clarify. So, okay, we can proceed with number 1.
Okay, any discussion on this? Brian?
So I just want to clarify, if we changed it to resort hotel, that if there is a tsunami or something, that they could decide not to put the house back and they decide to put a hotel up, correct? Correct.
Which I don't like. I'm trying to come up with a solution that enables them to use.
I hear you. I just wanted to make sure.
And I do not want to do a hotel. I don't
Yeah.
think any of those people have any desire to do a hotel. They, there's a legacy problems, legacy properties for them, and their families enjoy it, and they've been coming there for decades, and they don't want to do a hotel, and I don't want to imply that they want to do a hotel, and I don't want them to do a hotel.
Sure. But I mean, they could certainly change hands, and if it's designated as a resort hotel, somebody could easily step in. So for that purpose, or for that
and
reason,
they're small. I mean, these are half-acre lots, so to do a hotel on a half-acre lot's probably not going to occur. But I'm trying to come up with, and that's why I like Project District. The Project District,
So I guess planning, my question would be, you're saying that they'd be grandfathered in. Is that something that there's documentation on, that is available to, one, give them assurances that if we changed the designation that they are protected?
Currently, I mean, they have the use underneath because of their zoning, but the community plan prevents the rebuilding of the expansion. Like, yeah, they're zoned hotels, so
Okay,
they can vacate. They can do vacation rentals.
So in order to get an SMA permit, doesn't there have to be consistency between community plan and zoning?
Yes, there would need to be consistency between community plan and zoning.
So if we change it to residential, there's no longer consistency? I think we need an attorney here to.
I agree.
Yeah. Let's. I think we should table. I think we should table this one. I think some of the other members are going to have strong opinions on this one also.
You make a motion to table, because
I make a motion to table.
is there a second? Okay. Any opposed? Okay, so we'll revisit, and this I would assume is both of those, number 1 and number 2. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, next one, easier. You already talked about this one, actually, number 3.
Rob, do you think now would be a good time for a break? It is 6:45.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, 10-minute break. We are resuming. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 5. We're still missing some people. 4, 7. I guess we have quorum. 8. Okay. So we deferred 1 and 2, but Everett has some breaking news here.
Actually, Karen has the breaking news.
My brain's fried, so it took me a second to realize this. But the residential designation will just allow them to build back residential. And residential is allowed in hotel zoning. The zoning is what allows the short-term rental use. So with this as the community plan designation and the hotel is their zoning, it will be allowed to continue, but it won't enable a different type of development.
So with that knowledge, I recommend 1 and 2 go from project district, actually 1 to go from project district to residential.
Second by Brian. Any discussion? Any objections? Okay. You want to follow up with 2?
2, I make a motion that we go from park to residential.
Second by Brian. Discussion? Objections? Okay. Residential 1 and 2.
3 from project district to ag, and these are 2-acre ag lots.
Is there a second? Second by Jennifer.
These are existing 2-acre ag lots.
Yeah, I think a lot of these are really just kind of just confirming existing use. Discussion? Objections? Okay. Up from project district to agriculture. Number 4, mulligans on the blue.
Move that we change it from commercial to neighborhood center.
I'll second.
Second by Brian. Discussion? Any objections? Okay. Mulligans to neighborhood center. Number 5. The Wailea Golf area is not the entire Wailea Golf area, just the area Mauka of Mulligans. From commercial to park. It's number 5.
Is that existing golf course use?
That designation is based on the existing use. I believe it's storage sheds. You could designate this very handy resource in the back.
Okay, can we call a resource person to the mic for clarification?
Any objections? Okay, please.
Hi there. Sorry, could you clarify the question?
That the area above Mulligan's,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like it's golf course use.
It is, yes.
So
There's golf course, there's a lake there as well,
okay,
or a pond, I should say.
okay. Are we referring to the green area? Or are we referring to the brown area on top here? What's number 5?
It's just to the right of the lake. That corner. I only called it out because it's a change from the 98 plan.
Okay.
Sorry, could you, what is the proposed motion?
To change it looks like the golf course land above Mulligan's to park, which allows golf course use.
I think it's currently zoned PK anyhow. There might be actually some A1 there as well. I guess now wouldn't be a bad time to mention that, or just reiterate, I should say, our intention to submit a map for our properties, which may or may not include a change to that area. So with that being said, and that caveat, I guess at this time we don't have a major problem with that.
Okay. I move to change it from number 5 from commercial to park.
Second by Brian. Any discussion? Any objections? Okay. Number 6.
Move to change it from project district to ag.
Seconded by Jennifer. Discussion. Any objections? Okay, from, okay, Tova.
Just a clarifying question. So when we're talking about ag, are we talking about that area with really large houses and swimming pools?
Yes, they're 2-acre ag lots.
Okay. So ag lots that don't have ag on them.
Some of them do, most of them don't, some of them do. But it's ag zoned. Well, it's project district zoned.
Is there something that would be lost by converting this to a designation that reflected what's actually happening? Other than cheaper water?
If it's changed from to a rural residential or residential, then if there is more enforcement of agriculture in the future, then it would not. They could go for a change in their zoning. It would encourage a change in zoning, essentially.
I think ag is a less intensive, allows for less intensive use than residential.
Any further discussion? Any objections? Okay. That was number
6.
Number 6. Okay. Number 7, the OA Preserve.
Move that.
Chair, I
Brian.
had asked, I'd raised my hand saying that, just a pause. I just want to, for rural residential, why would that not be a good fit versus ag?
It can be developed more. I mean, they are heavily developed, but
Allows for half-acre lots versus 2-acre lots.
Okay.
We have a motion on the OHA Preserve.
Move to take it from project district to special purpose district.
Is there a second? Second by Jennifer. Discussion. Any objections? Okay, we're taking it from project district to special purpose district. I think that's really the really used for special purpose district anyway. Okay, number 8. This is the area we already talked about, Hotel Wailea. Let's see. Yeah, this is across the street, across Kaukahi from that.
Move to change it from commercial to neighborhood center.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Second by Jennifer. Discussion. Any objections? Okay, from commercial to neighborhood center. Number 9, This is smoke of Kalani Heiau from commercial to small town center. It's number 9. It's on the map. It's just like to the left of the 9.
So is this Makai of Makanalanui?
Yes.
Oh, so this just brings it in line with zoning then?
Right.
I move that we change it from commercial to small town center.
Is there a second? Second by Randall. Discussion? So just a comment that what we've done so far, which corresponds to what was proposed by the planning department, is establish small town centers for Kihei, Wailea, and Makena. Any objections? Okay, adopted small town center for the commercial area Mauk of Kalani Heiau. Number 10, Pu'uala'i, from park to state conservation.
What did DLNR, did they chime in on this one?
State conservation is only used on these maps for places that are state conservation. So that's what it is.
Okay, I move that we change it from park to state conservation.
Second by Brian. Any discussion? Any objections? Okay, moving from park to state conservation. And then I just found some small area there. Let's see. There was, I think the 11 may have fallen off the map. Oh, I guess no. You can see it on the. We have the 1998 plan above, and then we have the proposed plan below. So 11 is marked on the 1998 plan. So that is a small area which is proposed to become ag. It is, let's see. Number 11, I think it's, let's see. I think it's open space. It's proposed to move to ag.
I move that we change it from open space to ag. It's not that parcel. That parcel is the small commercial, I think. The one on the top, right where the cursor is now. No, to the right. That one. I think that was. I think that's where the small commercial piece is.
And you're saying it's not designated right now, or it is open space?
I think it's used for ag. I think Ulapalakua Ranch currently uses it for grazing.
It's actually designated single family in the 1998 plan. So the proposal is to move it from single family to ag.
Does that show who owns it?
ATC McKenna.
You have to change your motion.
It would be nice, I thought this was the Ulabalakua Ranch lot, but if it's above the golf course and it's residential, I would leave it residential.
This is the 1998 plan, and if you look right here, that little, it's just this little circle-y, it's like this part of these parcels. And it may just be that it's not in their current plans. I don't remember the exact reason behind this.
The what?
So if it is actually currently residential or deemed to be or supposed to be, is it affordable? So does anybody know that?
It doesn't, at this level, it doesn't say if it's affordable or not.
Yeah.
It's just residential.
Yeah.
There's no zoning for affordable or luxury or market.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
residential.
Okay. But if it, so is it possible to change it though from what it is to small, to ag?
You
Or
know,
no?
actually, one reason why it may have this change is because it's outside the urban growth boundary. Everything else is inside. That little sliver there is outside. And we really shouldn't be assigning residential to something which is outside the urban growth boundary.
So is that property, is number 11 within their ag lot? Matter of fact, I think I need to recuse myself from this one because I'm under contract to buy a piece of the ag property right above it. So I think I better step out of this one.
Just as a matter of general guidance, we should not be assigning residential to something which is outside the urban growth boundary, right?
Correct, and that section of residential is also part of those larger parcels that do appear to be agriculture lots. That's the urban growth boundary in red right there.
So if something is deemed or already zoned, and then somebody owns that property, or I guess I'm trying to understand that it can be changed, or is it grandfathered in, and then the change is just kind of useless? Because I hear the word grandfathered in quite often, so no sense we vote on something if it's going to remain grandfathered in to its current.
They don't currently have that use. Those are empty lots.
That are zoned for residential.
They are not zoned. This is community plan designations.
Okay,
So they would have to go in to get their zoning.
okay. And if we change it to ag, then the likelihood is,
We'll keep that large parcel.
yeah.
Yeah, it's zoned open zone, which means nothing. Okay, Jennifer?
So just a quick question. The light green is egg, like the beigey green? Yeah, to the right. Right, the other right. Yeah, that. So that's egg.
Yes, these are the old designations.
And then that little lighter green is the parcel we're talking about. And so you're basically saying keep that entire parcel one designation.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Ah.
So, could we get a motion? Kavika's waving. It doesn't count. Sorry. Nice try.
I'll make the motion to designated egg.
Is there a second? Second by Tova. Discussion? Any objections? Okay, moving 11 to egg. Yes, with one recused. Number 12. Again, that's I believe a small parcel up there at the upper right.
I think this is also part of the McKenna Ranch parcel, so I'm going to recuse myself on this one also.
Okay. This one is going, instead is going from commercial to residential. And let's see. Can you point it out? Okay, great. Motion?
I'll make a motion to move it to residential.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lewa. Discussion? Any objections? Oh, Brian?
I guess I just don't understand why that would be residential up there.
It's rural residential already. This is based on the current plans. So I can show you just a second. It had just a little tiny itty bitty bit right here of commercial at the top of the plans before. And now it's all rural residential.
So I guess the question I would have is that if 670 is next week, because 670 is right above that, depending on what we were determined with 670, wouldn't that somewhat have us determine what that parcel would be?
Both of these are based on the proposed designations.
Is this another example, just keeping it consistent with what's designated currently surrounding the that one parcel? That's why we're doing.
Okay. It just seems, depending on what the decisions are with 670, that we might be designating a residential and stuff in no man's land.
Chair.
Sorry, go ahead, Dora.
Hi. Could we drop on the urban growth boundary, please? Oh, okay, because I think we're talking about the area just outside of it, right? Or are we talking about the area just inside of it?
I believe the question Brian is asking is because these are both project districts. So if the decision, which is not advisable, would be to turn all the project districts into special purpose district, then this would be a special purpose district, which is no man's land. Yeah, that's a good description of a.
It's surrounded by rural residential. It's just like a little island there in the middle of it. So actually, it probably should be rural residential rather than, because that's the proposal, rather than residential.
Should I make an amendment?
Yes, please.
Can I amend my motion to make it rural residential?
Second by Lua. It's my fault. Further discussion? Any objections? Okay. Last little pocket there of commercial is now rural residential. Moving on to Ahi Kina'o. Anyone make a motion on number 1? Actually, I'm sorry, I take that back. Let's finish off Makana because there may be other concerns there. We had some testimony and we don't want to lose that. And also if anyone has any other things they want to change in Makana before we leave that. So let's see, I made some notes. Okay, so Albert suggested that there should be no residential parcels outside the urban growth boundary, which means that I believe these are 21005081 and 21005118. And if you compare the 98 plan with the proposed plan, there was a much larger area which was single family, and those were part of it. And so the proposal is that all the rest of the surrounding area, which was single family, goes to let's see, open space, I believe, and the and then those would go to residential, but the proposal of Albert was suggesting they should be rural residential because they're outside the urban growth boundary. They're inside the rural growth boundary. Yep, and those are the ones there, the pink and the yellow. Yes.
Sorry to circle back, but are we going to talk about these designations?
Yes, we are, but I think we should let's just spend a little more time on Makana, just wrap that up and be sure we don't miss anything.
Okay.
So the blue outline you see around the pink there, that's the rural urban growth I'm sorry, the rural growth boundary. And then the one below that, the lot below that, is outside of both the urban and the rural growth boundary. And so
Isn't one of the lots areas he was talking about up here with, because this has an L-shaped parcel and then it has that little park area. That's the cultural preserve one, yeah.
I spoke with Isaac Hall during the break, and Isaac and his wife Dana and Uncle Les were part of the litigation against Cebu, and this parcel was a part of the settlement of that, and they do not want it changed to open space. And the Ferreira family is unaware of this, this discussion, and they haven't chimed in on the L-shaped property. I tried to reach Everett during the break, but he didn't pick up. But I don't think we should change either one of those.
When you say it should not change, what should the designation be?
I would leave it exactly whatever it is right now.
Single family? Which would be residential in the new language. It needs to be more explicit, I think. Yeah, Lehua?
Can I make a suggestion that I know you see what you see, but I think we really do need to check with the families to make sure that it is really accurate. Would that be fair to maybe table the specific one?
Well, I suppose, but the proposal is just to keep it as it is. So.
But if we don't know really what it is.
But
I think it's residential right now.
And Everett says he has checked with them.
I've checked. I didn't speak with Everett Ferreira, but I spoke with Isaac Hall, and Dana was on the line, and they want to leave it as is, residential.
That has been confirmed as the current designation, as residential.
It's currently single family, and the proposal is residential, which is what it corresponds to in the new terminology.
Okay. Well, this main thing we don't change it without their permission. So okay.
Okay. Yeah. There was really no controversy around that, I don't think. But it's the ones below that which are. Yeah. But if no one has any motion on that, then we'll just move on. Okay. So that we talked about the preserve area already. In the Ferreira stables, we said we check with the owners. And then the other area, sorry, what?
I want to confirm that we did not check with the Ferreiras. Yeah. Okay. So now he's doing it, but we did not get the. He didn't answer the call, but he's going to talk to him right now.
Okay.
Yeah, just to confirm.
Yeah. In the meantime, the other one that they pointed out is the ATC McKenna lands, which is just south of the park area, and. I believe that is Mackay of 21005079 and 21005129. Let's see. I think it's further south of that.
The Ferreiras want to keep their property ag. He says it is ag, and he wants to keep it ag.
So would you like to change the designation to agriculture instead of residential, which is what it currently is?
He just told me it's ag. Should we have a resource person for a moment?
You mean call them in? We could do that, but I think we really need to find out what the current designation is, and
So based on the conversation that Everett had with Uncle Everett, he's stating that it's currently ag. And so because you see something different and then this doesn't sound right, so I'm going to use the word table again until we can confirm it. I don't think we're going to be able to make a decision tonight, because I'd hate to go ahead and, I mean, I would leave it as ag if that's what they want, but if the county is saying change it to ag, then what are we changing it from? That's why it's confusing. So we need to find out.
I'm opening a different web app because it should have where I can look up the parcel information, but that just wasn't on that one.
So this is the one. This is the one that's like right across from Big Beach, right? Yeah. So it is single family. It's single family. Single family currently.
Their zoning is agriculture, or their tax classes, but it is designated as residential.
Okay, and he wanted to keep it ag, so I guess ag is okay.
Do you want to make a motion?
I move that we change it from residential to ag.
This is 21005115. 21005115. Is there a second? Second by Brian. Discussion? Any objections? Okay. 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 Any objections? Okay. Agriculture for that parcel. Okay, and then the last one that was in the testimony we want to take a little bit look at is the land just Mocha, the park area, in between that and there's some ranch just Mocha of this area they're talking about. So that is let's see.
Can you tell me which part of Albert's testimony you're talking about?
This is he just describes it as being the Mauka, the park area.
I think it's SF5 maybe, and it's zoned residential, and I think he was suggesting it be
Open space.
open space.
Yeah. So if you look for 21005079, then you'll find it.
Is this the parcel right here? The residential that's... It's like just Mauka of the park across the road. No.
I think it's a much larger parcel.
It's Makai of Mo'oloa Ranch and Mano'ahanakai Trust. In between them and the coast. So there's an area, it's designated park on the Mauka side of the highway. And then he's suggesting that in between that park and the ranches, there should be open space. Tova?
If that really is all archaeological sites and is better served by open space, I will motion that we redesignate that as open space.
Second by Mike. My very crude measurement was that it was an area about 350 feet by 1,000 feet.
Is it this whole parcel right here? That's what shows in his map.
That's park, but then he's suggesting that the area Mauka, that be open space. Yeah, that part. In between the park and then the two ranches. Who
owns that?
ATC McKenna.
Can you move back up, or whoever has the ability to identify owners? That area further up. I thought Albert was talking about the property. You can kind of see the golf course under the layer there. I thought he was talking about a large piece of property. It was zoned. It was owned when it was zoned residential, and then I think when the state land use came on, the county changed it to interim because it was zoned residential, and then state land use came into being, and that was ag. There was a lawsuit, and the county recognized the residential zoning. But it's a large parcel. I want to say it's like maybe 30 acres or something.
It is part of a very large parcel, but he's only talking about this strip in between the park and the two ranches. And it's zoned R3 residential. And it's single family in the 1998 plan.
That's
does
I've,
look
I've
like
got I've got Albert and Kaimi both. I'm texting with both of them, and they both seem to be okay with open space, provided that utility lines can cross open space. Is that a permitted thing to do? Ex-Public Works Director.
will not let me show you guys the area of it. That area is all ATC McKenna, and it's kind of large. It's like goes from, you can kind of see the parcel outlines right there. It's like all this area. But Albert is just recommending right here, yeah? Like right above that park area.
That's right.
And then he was also talking about this area in a separate comment.
Okay, I move open space.
There already is a motion and a second.
Oh.
Further discussion?
How wide is that open space? Because it's not the whole parcel, yeah? Just...
My crude measurement was 350 feet wide and about 1,000 feet long.
the length of the park, and then that would be like 1,000 feet, and then 350 feet above that.
Right, in between the park. It's about 350 feet from the park edge to the edge of the ranches. Any objections? Okay, we have made that segment open space. And are there any other changes, or can we get a motion to just adopt the rest of the McKenna proposal as is? I mean, we're still going to be talking about the Ahikina'o after that.
I move to adopt the rest as is.
Is there a second? Second by Jennifer.
Can you clarify what the rest as is, please?
Oh, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of things here.
The rest as is that, are you requesting the planning department's designations remain as they are?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, all the rest of it, as far as I could determine, are just preserving the use as in the 1998 plan. So the motion is to accept the planning department's proposals for everything we haven't discussed for McKenna. Was there a second? There was a second from Jennifer, yeah. Any objections? Okay. Done with McKenna for now.
Chair, could I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Based on what we discussed for McKenna 1 and 2, that they're zoned as hotels, but they're putting it in as residential. And unfortunately, I'm going to go back to Wailea because I just want to make sure we have continuity. That in Wailea, we voted to take Polo Beach, which is my understanding is zoned as a hotel, but we made its designation as hotel. So should we not be consistent between what I believe is the same thing?
You could make that recommendation. I believe the reason for that was Polo Beach seemed more hotel-like, whereas those are single-family homes. But it is also more of an apartment kind of complex, yeah.
So I'm just asking the question just to make sure that we are consistent. If everybody's okay, it just seems as we made the decision for the others with the logic, it didn't seem consistent with what we just did for Polo Beach. So
Which ones are 1 and 2? Which ones are Which ones are you referring to now? In
Those-
McKenna? In McKenna?
Those are the ones where you recused, where you were involved with
Okay.
buildings.
I thought I heard Brian say McKenna 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was McKenna 1 and 2.
Yes.
There was the first one we started with.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, the what?
Just real quick in regards to Ferrera Stables, and I'm sorry, Everett, I probably got to hear the motion again, but I don't think we needed to vote to make it or designate it agriculture. We just want to confirm that it is currently designated as agriculture, and family, I would like it to remain as agriculture. I wasn't sure what the motion was when we were talking about it. Can we revisit that motion again to just clarify?
Can I clarify?
Yeah.
The motion was to designate it agriculture because currently the designation is single-family home, which they can have their single-family home on the agriculture lot. And so it would maintain the uses they desire, and by changing it to agriculture from single-family. Is what
So I'd like to make, if I can go back to Wailea, if that's okay.
Okay. If we're done with McKenna, are we done with McKenna?
Well, I guess the question that I would ask then the committee is, would we want to be consistent? Because if we want to stay in McKenna, then I would say make a motion to reopen items 1 and 2. If we're not looking to, if we don't want to open that because we want to keep it as what we've designated, then I would say I want to go back to Wailea and open a discussion for Polo Beach. So it depends, I guess, what the body wants to do. So in McKenna, we have it 1 and 2 were zoned as hotels. We have designated it as residential. For Polo Beach, it is zoned as hotel. We designated it as hotel or resort.
Does Polo Beach have resort amenities as well, or is it strictly?
So Polo Beach is zoned HM Hotel. The other ones in Wailea were zoned A1 apartment. So that was why it was different from the others in Wailea. This is zoned HM Hotel.
And the McKenna had what, just single-family homes being used as short-term vacation rentals, but the other one sounds like it was a little bit more intense hotelish.
It's a condo building. I don't know the exact count. So could you maybe look up how many units are in?
It's a condo building that allows, that has a lot of short-term rental.
So Jennifer, you want to make your comments and then I can respond to it.
So your concern is if something happens to that property, flood, tsunami, whatever, and they rebuild, they can build a hotel, and you're concerned about the hotel. Is that the problem?
Yes, ultimately, but I guess I was just seeing somewhat of an inconsistency of how we were potentially designating. I didn't necessarily know the size of it, but that to that point, yes, if it does, something happens that they could rebuild a hotel, and do we want a hotel?
I think it's basically a hotel now. It operates like one. That's why I voted to have it as a hotel.
Okay, I just clarifying. I'll shut up.
Did we decide? Did we vote, or did we decide on the motion from Everett? No. I know there was no motion, but did we decide on that? No, not about the hotel. About the rest of McKenna. We did. Okay. We're done with McKenna. Okay, now we're moving on to Ahihikinawa. Okay.
For the record, Everett Ferrera. Everett, the community designation for your land is residential and the zoning is ag. Do you want both the community and zoning to be ag? Yes.
This Everett, thank you. Yes, and both Everett, the other Everett too. Okay, so where are we at with, let's see. Okay, so in the Ahi'ikina'u, there are those three changes that I identified. They're huge changes, in terms of area, but I think they're kind of natural changes. So number one is going from park to ag. I have to say I don't entirely understand the details of that one.
I would honestly have to get back to you on this because I didn't make it this far south this time, and I was not there for this whole discussion.
Go ahead, Everett.
When you pull this TMK up, what information does it show? Does it show that it's leased to Ulupalakua Ranch?
Oh, this is the ag part. I do remember this. This is because they want to develop. No, that is ownership.
State ownership?
You're talking about the little parcel that's at the bottom of it. I know that the triangle is a trust that is trying to develop. Part of it is Ulupalakua Ranch, and that's the part I'm not completely certain on. Right here. So this is Ulupalakua Ranch.
Chair?
Yes.
Karen, you mentioned that you thought that they wanted to develop it. Do you know what they wanted to develop it to?
I did like a year ago, but I just don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, it is Ulupalakua Ranch, that whole area which is proposed to change from open space to ag.
That's number one, park to ag?
Yes.
I move that we change it from park to ag.
just a question. So, again, something to make it
There you go.
consistent into all egg. So this is one little parcel's park, but it makes sense to make it egg. I second the motion.
Any discussion?
I think you guys should come back to this. There was a really good reason for it to be like this on the map, and I really just don't remember what the reasoning was.
Well, we're approving it. We're just
As park, or
as
changing
ag,
it
as
to
ag, as ag. We're going with the planning department's proposal. Yes. And you said there's a good reason, so okay, we trust you. And any further discussion? Any objections? Okay, ag for number 1. And then the next 2 and 3 are just, I think, kind of pro forma.
I move for both 2 and 3 to go from park to state conservation.
Second by Brian. Any objections? Okay, from park to state conservation. And I think that pretty much covers entire, there's not much else in Kiono-i'o besides those. Any further comments or suggestions on Kiono-i'o? Okay, I suggest that we take another break and then we talk about the text for these areas. 5-minute break enough? Okay, 5-minute break. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about is, hey guys, the first thing I want to talk about is there was testimony from Yuan Lau of the planning department, although he was testifying as an individual, and I don't know if you guys saw it, but saying that we are required to have a list of sites, cultural and important sites, by the code, and he mentioned Paloea Cultural Preserve and Kalani Heiau, as we should add those to quote from the code. The list of areas, sites, and structures recognized as having historical or archaeological significance, and a list of scenic sites and resources. Now, looking at the minutes, Lucien presented a list of 8 cultural preserves in South Maui, including Paloea Cultural Preserve, but not Kalani Heiau, to the CPAC meeting on February 8th. However, that's the only meeting I did not attend, and so that meeting did not take up the proposal. The Kihei Makena Community Plan of 1998 has a list of 31 sites, and it includes Paloea Cultural Reserve, but does not include Kalani Heiau. Lucien's list includes Paloea Cultural Preserve, but not Kalani Heiau. And the 1998 plan also says, a map indicating the general location of these sites is on file with the county's Department of Planning. The said map should be consulted prior to development proposals affecting the above-mentioned areas. Prior to any development approvals, the said map shall be referenced, and the comments of the State Historic Preservation Division and the County Cultural Resources Commission shall be sought. So, I can't make a motion, but I think it would be good to consolidate these 3 lists and maybe include those instructions from the 1998 plan as well. Not to do it now, but I mean to get that done.
I move that we consolidate and then bring it back to maybe the next meeting if possible.
Second by Lehua. Discussion? Objections? Okay. And then on to Wailea. So page 82 of the plan draft, sub-area 4 Wailea. Pretty short, looks like this. Any comments or suggestions for this? Or so there is a bunch of text here, not just here, I mean a bunch of text about the various sub-areas. And my only issue is that our names are going to be on this. So if we don't at least take a look at it and discuss it, and someone says, what the, you guys decided on this, then it's going to be on us. So that's why I think we should at least look at it. And if there are no comments or issues, then we'll just move on.
This is where we need Vernon. Can we have a resource person?
Are there any objections to having Verna as a resource person? We can definitely come back to it, but I think the more we can get done today, the better, because we're going to have a lot to do next time. We're only going to 9. I mean, 8:30, sorry. There we go. Okay. I would actually like to have Ka'onohe as a resource person too, if she's willing to do that. Are you willing to be a resource person so we can ask you questions? You're an advisor. Okay. Yes, Lehua?
Maybe in regards to adding a little bit more information on this page in regards to the cultural significance, and you know, whatever the wording will be, but I think it's important to put that right in here because obviously it doesn't have anything in it that states the cultural significance of the area. So I like to see something in there that will give more information about the cultural significance. Yes, yes. What I had recommended is that we put in some verbiage in here regarding the cultural significance in the Wailea sub-area 4 page. And because I believe that we need to add a lot more here, but in summary. So.
Sure.
Brad?
Could I make a recommendation that we reach out to the cultural advisors and have them review this and give us input? Because I don't think that I'm not qualified to be able to speak to it, and I don't think that so I think going out to because we're asking developers to do that for other things. I think as a body we might want to consider doing the exact same thing. Well, I guess just meant not putting them on the spot, being able to say, hey, take the time to be able to go do this. Right. Right. So.
Yeah, so so I was checking the kupuna back there. And, so we're not familiar with this one, the sub area for Wailea. And we're not purview to what's on the bottom on 15 and 16 on the bottom of the page, back width and the methodology. So we not knowing any of this verbiage. So there's two people I like check with that's also connected with that area. I think she feel the same way, Ka'anoe. So if we can table this bugger.
Absolutely.
Yeah, until we come back.
No, but I guess sorry, Chair, but I was suggesting that the cultural advisors review all of the sub-area text so that we have consistency and it's the same tone and it brings the same level of culture in meaning through all of them. Because again, I don't think I'm qualified by any means to say that North Kihei, that's thumbs up. So I'd rather be given the direction by the cultural advisors to say, hey, this is what is accurate.
Yeah, and we know, like, you know, if we don't know, we don't know. And then we're just gonna run with the best we have. But but we like check with couple people and that might be able to enhance this and all the other stuff we got to review. Yeah.
That's fine. I think we should still go through this because there may maybe things which are not culture related, just things we want to fix. Brian?
What I can also offer, and I'm sure you guys know all of the hotel cultural advisors, but we're a meeting with all the GMs next 21st, whenever it is. I could certainly ask them if you guys wanted, I can ask them to have them review the material as well, but you probably know them individually. No, not the GMs, the cultural advisors at the hotels. Sorry if that wasn't clear. My point was I'm meeting with the GMs. I can talk to the GMs about reaching out to the cultural advisors for the resorts.
So that's a good idea. If you're gonna meet with all the cultural advisors for the hotels,
that meeting's coming up. We don't have it scheduled yet. So this is with the GMs, but I can at least let the GMs know that we're going to be approaching the cultural advisors if that's what everybody wants.
I think we should just do it anyway. We're not going to slow down on this. We're just going to move forward, but we should have that discussion anyway, and then we can tweak it later.
Okay.
But for now, we're gonna go do our reach out, but we want to do the connect with the hotel cultural advisors.
Okay. So
it's particularly for Wailea. Yeah.
So my recommendation would be then you come back.
Yep.
And then whatever that is, I'd be happy if the committee is comfortable. I can take it to
at least by next week. Yeah.
Well, I can take it to the cultural advisors when we have our meeting and get their input.
Yeah, sure.
Jennifer?
Just to clarify, so you're doing subsection 4, 5, and 6? Or 3? Or all of them? I mean, I don't want to, how much do you want to do?
Yeah, I only got the 4, but yeah, we go do the other ones too. Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, but like I said, I think we should still go through these anyway because there may be other things we want to fix which are not culture related. So should we move on from 4 to 5? Then nothing on 4. Okay, 5 is on page 84. So we're not going to formally adopt anything. It's just if there's anything you would like to change or add or remove. Mike?
Should we consider, toward the end of the first paragraph where it refers to McKenna State Park, should we use the Hawaiian name for that? Maybe bracketed or somehow refer to the two names only lower? Is that reasonable to do?
Up to you. I think it's a good idea, but yeah, you can make a motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we refer to both names when we, I guess officially by government, it's McKenna State Park, it's State Park, but I think we should also somehow note that it's use the Hawaiian name of the area, which it's often called.
Is there a second? Second by Lehua. Any discussion? Any objections? Okay, adding Honolua. Anything else in this section? moving on to let's see, page 86, Hihikina'o Kanayo. Hey, Brian?
I'd like to make a motion to change where it says park, since most of the sub-areas designated as park or open space, and based on our reclassification, change it from park to state conservation.
Is there a second? Second by Jennifer. Discussion? Any objections? Okay, changed park to state conservation. Okay, moving on, the only area, so now we're moving on to these areas of change. And the only area of change in Wailea is Honua'ula, Wailea 670. So I think we might as well save that since we're going to be talking about Wailea 670 anyway next time. After that is Makena, which is on page 103. And there was, just for your consideration, there was testimony from Maui tomorrow that we should mention the settlement agreement that governs the use of the ATC Makena land. And I think it would be more appropriate to put it here than in the map, for example.
Chair?
Yes.
I motion we add in the key points of the settlement language.
Is there a second? Second by Mike. Discussion? Brian?
I guess I was asking, is this the right place to put that? The planning department? Because I fully agreed that it needs to be there. I just don't know if this is the right place.
Yeah, maybe under proposed or challenges and opportunities.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure it should be in here. To me, it's an agreement, a private agreement between two parties. It's not a government action, and I'm not sure it should be in here.
I agree with Everett. Things can change. This document's going to be around for 20, 30 years. I'm not sure it's appropriate.
Tova?
Well, I'm not sure of anything either, but my sense is that because it was a hard-fought battle to get some things that speak directly to the needs that were expressed by the community when we were developing this plan, that in order to avoid what we've seen in the past, which is those settlement agreements somehow get lost in the memory of those who are implementing, that it's a place to capture what was fought for and kind of won. So I defer to others to, feel out whether or not it feels appropriate in this place, but to me, it seems like it helps us not lose traction.
You what?
Could, if Auntie and Vernon were designated as cultural advisors, could we ask Auntie to speak on this, to share her mana'o with us at this time? Is that possible?
Certainly possible.
Okay, I understand the comments and the reasoning behind the request to include what was in the agreement on this document. But that agreement is between the landowner, and the intervener, so it's not a government document. So it should stay private. And if anybody read the agreement, it was not to be disclosed. It was private. So, caution.
Tova?
Thank you for the insights. And if that is indeed the case, if this was intended to be a private document, then there's unquestionably, this isn't the place for it. So removing my motion.
We have another resource. Someone needs to ask him a question. He can't just come up to the microphone. Sorry, ask him a question, somebody.
Vernon, can I ask what your thoughts are on this?
So that was a appropriate response, but I too know, because we planning, we making plans, and I know what else going on with legal stuff, because I don't want to support something or not, or support or not support, and we don't know what the back action going on. We gotta know all that stuff. So we know, Albert shared stuff, and there is agreements, but I too myself so involved that there are things that the community should know, what's going on, because we're representing the community, and this is going to come up again. When we relive again, it's going to come up again in another area related to what you guys talking about tonight. So, yeah, I get what you're saying, because there's a lot of things go on, and we should be aware of some of that, so that we can, choose appropriately in our decision anyway. Mahalo.
Brian?
This is, I guess, directed to the planning department. Would it be appropriate to create a policy or an action that somehow references that it's a requirement to go back to the settlement, so that at least it points it to it? And again, that's probably something we should talk to legal about, but
We could write a policy that development in the area needs to respect the settlement agreement that was reached, without directly suggesting any of the, or bringing up any of the text.
that's where I was going. Is because I want to make sure that we don't lose the efforts that were done and have somebody else try to change it. But I completely respect to not have it disclosed. But just if there's a way we can loop that in so that it doesn't get lost.
Everett?
Brian, there's a part of the agreement is a short form memorandum is going to be recorded against all the properties that this involves. So it's going to be on title. So if the planning, if something goes before like a zoning or permitting, it's going to show up on title that this is out there. It's on page 4, number 10.
Further discussion? Are we ready to vote? You withdrew it? Okay. Anything else on this on that section? There's we're almost at 8:30, but there's just this short section on Hihiki Na'u. Can we just take a look at that? It's page 107. This policy, is that also in our list of policies, or is this like something additional?
It is an area-specific policy to a hihikina'u. So this is additional. You can also put them for other sub-areas.
So, but it's a policy we haven't discussed.
This is a policy you have not discussed. That's correct.
Brian?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the policy 3.5.1 as written.
Second by Jennifer. Discussion? Lua?
I have a question that might be out of order, but I was referencing some of the testimony in regards to sub-area 4, Wailea areas of change. We had said that there were no testimony, but there was a written testimony. Do we not document those? Are we just saying no testifiers for in-person or via whatever that's called online? Do we not recognize the written testimonies?
It's up to you. It's up to you if you want to make a motion. But let's finish this 3.5.1 first, and then we can.
That's why I said it might be out of order, but we can come back to that before we close. Because I'd like to recognize one of the testifiers on what she had written.
To make a motion, okay. But let's, any further discussion on 3.5.1? Any objections? Okay, adopted policy 3.5.1. Okay, Lua?
So I think with Brandy Corpuz's testimony, it was inserted with the Wailea areas of change, whereas other ones were, I guess, more, what do you call that, visual, so it was tucked in there. So I just wanted to recognize that we did have a written testimony and several others as well. I think there were 3 in here. But in Brandy's one, she did want to also make a request that the 1998 plan maps and current plan maps be automatically put side by side on the screen. I don't know how possible that is, but I do want to make sure that, you know, we are at least reading and listening to the testifiers, that this would help people maybe be able to see things easier or whatever. But I just wanted to at least recognize her request. I don't know how possible that is, you know, with the screen, not having a TV here. But again, recognizing that there are several written testifiers for the sub area for Wailea. So again, I know it's our homework to read them if we get them earlier, if not on the date of, but she actually sent it in on 6/13. So I apologize, I didn't see it, but I just wanted to recognize the written testimonies for that. Thank you.
Yeah, there were 2 other, Brandy and 1 other testifier who asked for open space in Wailea, but since they didn't specify any particular TMKs, I didn't bring that up. But I figured that would be covered by the proposals by Maui tomorrow, which called out MF8, SFS, and then a few more. Anything else on these areas? Okay, I think we're done. Closing at 8:35 p.m.